Hi everyone, I hope you can clearly see my screen and I can start with my talk. Perfect. So today I want to share some thoughts about how we think and how the think first approach can help us with our work. And I will share also some expected and unexpected behaviors or approaches that commonly used, but some of them you may see, okay, we use it, but I think this is not expected behavior from us. And I will share some thoughts from different roles like project or product manager and developer, and for sure from QA. And I will give you some examples for each of the roles, for each of the situations. And in the end, I will share the tools that will help you to make better decisions or better thinkings. Let's start. As usual, here's a disclaimer that all of the thoughts you will see here are just my personal, my own, and based on my experience and biases. So for some of you, it may be wrong, or maybe you had another experience than mine, because a lot of engineers around the world, and for sure, I can tell you about all of them, but maybe you find something useful. Let me introduce myself for sure. I'm currently my position is Chief Operation Officer in Headworks, but in testing, in quality assurance, I'm here for more than 10 years, and I love to make better products, and I love to make better processes and approaches. Like I use to improve a lot of different processes in my companies, in products where I work, and we achieve good results with increasing time, decreasing time to market, with increasing some kind of issues with the team, like buzz factor. And sometimes I used to work on different roles, not only QA, but also as project manager, product manager, not developer, but manager role is still what makes me happy. And yeah, on this screen, you can see that you can connect with me, just make a photo of this QR code, and you can take me on different platforms like Telegram, Twitter, and Instagram. For sure, during the talk, you can make screenshots of what I'm talking about expected or unexpected behavior, maybe examples. And in case you have some thoughts, we can discuss this in social media. All right.
Just one more, sorry to interrupt. And we will have also the slides link on YouTube after we prepared the talk. So you will find all information in YouTube video as well. Thank you.
Yep, cool. I think we can start. And first, let's talk about the terminology. So it's a pretty important part, so we can understand what I'm talking about and what is the think first approach from my point of view. So I think the think first approach, it can be defined as like mindset and set of practices that are performed before implementing a solution. In this case, I want to mention that before implementing the solution, even when QA start testing is some kind of solution. So it's kind of job that you are doing. And in this approach, in the think first approach, I want to mention that you're supposed to be ready for this testing, for this solution. So I will mention some practices that will help you to make your work better and achieve better results in testing and in general quality assurance. Before we can describe all the expected or unexpected behaviors, before some kind of tools, I want to mention the thing and discuss how we work in general in IT. So here's three important things. The first thing is we make decision. All of our work, like for manager, for testers, for developers and project managers, first is make decision. We are making decision all the time. Like if we see some unexpected behavior of our program, what we are doing, we think about create bug or not create bug, or is it improvement, or is it feature, or is it whatever. And for sure, we are making a decision. So this is decision. Also, the second one is we're solving problems, like how to make our process better to make less bugs, how to increase, decrease time to market, how to, I don't know, maybe some other examples, how we can solve our problems during implementation of the feature. And for sure, this is also the part of our work process. And the last but not least is communicate. So we communicate with each other. And I want to mention the better decision, the better problem solving skills, and the better way we communicate. This leads us to a better work. And in my presentation, I will share what kind of behavior or approaches leads to a better work, so leads to make better decision, better problem solvings, and better way to communicate. I will mention both expected and unexpected behavior, and it's kind of approaches or behavior I do expect or not expect from the persons, from the role. And in case you are not agree with me, we can discuss it later in Q&A session. It will be interesting because some of them may cause a real but hurt. I'm almost sure about it. Now let's start. First role I want to mention is product manager or project manager. It's kind of it's not similar roles, but the tool that they could use in their work is kind of similar. And first, I want to mention unexpected behavior. And from my point of view, an unexpected behavior, it could be like this. Ask developers about estimates. I will explain how it leads and why it's unexpected. Add everything into the backlog and do daily meetings and all the Scrum ceremonies. For sure, all of this behavior pretty unexpected. And let's talk about expected behavior. In expected behavior, I expect that product manager or project manager firstly communicate with stakeholders. So need to know that when something arrives from the business, you first communicate with stakeholders. And second, check resource capabilities. Sometimes even the big guy asks you to implement something, you just don't have resource capabilities. I mean, it may be some technical issues, education, knowledge of the team, and even the time of the team. I expect also some risk analysis, and I think the right way before implementing something, sometimes it's good to make and organize pre-mortem. It's kind of tool that when you think about what could happen, the bad thing could happen in the future or during implementation. Let's go to example. Someone from the business came to PM and asked to implement a new small feature right away. If we are following the slide about unexpected behavior, so the behavior, so the PM will go to the developer and ask, okay, let's estimate this feature. Or sometimes it could be worse. The project manager can say, okay, our boss wants this feature as soon as possible. Could you implement this right now? And depending on the nature of the team, maybe they will have some discussion of the feature, describing this, add some details and so on. In worst case, for sure, the developers start coding. And I want to mention this kind of behavior leads to a lot of waste. Like estimation in general, it's waste, because in this particular case, later, it was found that the issue or the feature, it's outdated and it has pretty low priority. And the stakeholder and the guy from business, he just mentioned this because it was just in his mind. Like he talked with project manager, talk, and oh, right, Artem, it would be good if you can do this feature like as soon as possible, because it's pretty nice feature, I think. And in this case, the time we spent on estimation or some time in coding, it can be crucial. We just stop doing our job, we start estimate, start coding, put a lot of efforts, maybe sometime we will test it, and maybe we will put on testing on or staging or even on production. And after it will be realized that this feature is just outdated, it's no longer needs, because everything already changed. The good behavior would be like asking this stakeholder questions. Why do we need this feature? What we want to achieve? How it help our customer to achieve their goals? Can we earn from this feature? What values this feature will lead to our clients? And then think about, can we do this feature right now? Maybe we have other priority issues or features to implement. These questions really help you to understand about the priority feature. And maybe you don't need to do this feature. And this really helps you to free a lot of time. And it's better actually to do nothing than do wrong thing, because you spent a lot of time and effort, and then your team and you in general really will be demotivated. So this is kind of case. Let's go for a developer. And also we will start from unexpected behavior. And for sure, as it was mentioned actually before, unexpected behavior from developer, it could be just start coding when someone asks. Like the project manager comes to you and tell you to implement this feature ASAP because the one guy wants this feature, maybe it's really important, and you just do coding. And the second one, the missing point that you not communicated and collaborating with other team members. And if you don't do it efficiently, you can lose some points, lose about like testability issues. You need to make your product and your solution with testability in mind, as well as you understand the main point why you're doing this feature also. So how we help our customers, how we help our users. And what I expect from him is first, do a requirement analysis. In terms of requirement, I'm meaning that requirements can be not just specification, even user stories, it's requirements, even description of the issue that is in Jira or any other task management system is also requirements. And before implementing, just do requirement analysis and ask questions. Always ask questions first. And maybe some issue will be unclear for you, and this helps you to implement the better solution. In general, implementation and development things means that there is a lot of unknown information. So you need deep dive with this in mind and ask questions to make this, to reveal this unknown information, and this is help you to implement the better solution. Sometimes the expected behavior could be do a pre-research. Like in some cases, you don't owner of the code. So you need to make it go inside of the code and see how the feature is implemented right now. Then it can be lead you to create a technical solution or technical design. Depending on terminology, it's kind of the same things. But what is technical solution or technical design? It's when you describe your changes, when you describe what you want to change in code in particular parts of your system. Also, you may describe impact if you know the code and you know what may be in impact of this. And sometimes you may find out that you need to do additional work, like set up some environment. Maybe you need some additional test data. Maybe you need, I don't know, additional instances in cloud to implement this. So when you need to set up additional stage on CI/CD system. And let's go to example. And the example is the following, actually. The PM came to the developer and asked to implement a new feature the customer marked as an ASAP issue. Like, I think it's almost a common case for a lot of us, and like for developers for sure. And let's assume that you start coding right away. And we may lead to the case when this issue, as it was in example for project manager, this issue also low priority. So when you're coding, you spend time for coding. And this is also this code, you like, okay, I'm code something, I spend time, and then PM came to you again and tell this feature no longer need. And, okay, what I should do, like do nothing, don't merge, don't commit your changes, and that's it, leave it like this. But you already spent the time. And this is not efficient way. Also, in this case, if you don't make a technical solution and don't write the thing like just common sentence about how you want to make this technical solution, you may you will have some bad behavior or obstacles that actually stop you from implementing or disrupt you, and you will spend more and more and more time, because each problem, if you don't find solution and you don't write, so The problem arises, you solve the problem. Again, you coding, the problem arises, you solve the problem. And this is actually not efficient because you do this a lot of circles of researchers on understanding how the work, how it works, what should you do, how you make this, I don't know, how you going to fix this, and so on. And when you do a think first approach and you do a technical analysis, you understand what you need. You maybe sometimes, for example, if you're a front-end developer, you need back-end API. And if the full team not involved in your task, what are you doing? And during implementation, you find out that you need to create an appropriate method on your REST API service. And you go to backend developer and ask, hey, Matthew, can you please create this API for me? And this is also waste, because after you tell him, who knows, will he start his implementation right now? Or maybe he will do it later. But for current moment, you just stop your work. So let's think first what we need and how we can achieve our goals before it's like some problem happens. And for sure, let's go about quality assurance. We also do a lot of unexpected stuff. And most obvious for me, it's like we're testing without preparation. Sometimes the case we will look in the next slides, in the next examples, like when we start testing without preparation, we spend more time for testing for sure, and our preparation start right after implementation finished, and this is leads pretty for bigger problems later. Also, the unexpected behavior, from my point of view, it's relying too heavily on automation testing. Like automation testing in general, it's pretty expensive stuff, and sometimes we don't need automation. And for automation, we need to understand why we do automation. And for automation, we spend time when we understand it help us in the future. For sure, sometimes we want it now, but when we, if we understand properly, the automation mostly costs on maintenance, not on creation automation. To create easy UI automation test, it's pretty easy. It's just a couple of hours for some features. For sure, depending on the size of the project, this may be the huge project and we need a lot of tests. And we all also know that this is automation pyramid, that UI tests, they're unstable, and we need to make them less. We need to more do integration, API automation test. But it also, guys, really, it's expensive. It may worse for a long term, but we need to understand that we don't need always relying on automation testing, because testing and quality assurance in general, this is a lot of other work we can do, not just automation and not just writing the code. And the one I saw, actually, it was in my experience, not creating bugs during testing. Like in this case, I mean that I saw how testers do testing, and yes, they communicate with developers, but always their communication was like this: hey Ben, I found this issue, could you fix it right now and redeploy the solution? It was like this: no tracking, no understanding what this kind of issues, what kind of bugs. And because of this, we can't analyze in the future what happened during implementation, what happened during testing. And when even we do retrospectives and other kind of thing for reflections, we don't understand, did we have a lot of issues or not? Because there's no metrics, no understanding about what kind of issue we found, how we can make our processes better to not having this issue again. And in my case, it was like after several sprints and after several iterations, we have the similar issues again and again. And for me, it was a question to QA why he didn't create bug reports. Sometimes, for sure, you can create bug reports for several UI issues on one page, but sometimes when you do a testing and developers and testing doing the same issues, why you want to spend time like this? I don't understand. And what I expect, actually, and I expect for sure create a test strategy, create test plan, the same as for developer, do a requirement analysis and perform a risk analysis. Some kind of expected and unexpected behavior are similar for all the roles. And this is common in IT, because we're doing almost the same thing, make decisions, we solve problems, and we communicate with each other. And when we are talking about test strategy or test plan, I'm not want to tell you that test plan and test strategy, it should be like huge, big documents. It may be written in a couple of sentences. Your test plan may be like, okay, I will do test documentation, I create checklist, I prepare this kind of environment, I need 2 devices, I will test on this and this, or I will do like regression or smoke testing and so on, so on. I prepare test data, and this is your plan. Do I need this is big plan? No, I just need one comment in Jira or one task in Jira to prepare all these things. That's it. But this is a think first approach. I think about what I need to make a better testing when the feature finished in implementation. The same with risk analysis, the same with requirement analysis. All of these things are crucial part of quality assurance and crucial part to make your testing better. When you're ready for testing, when you prepared for it, it's better for you to do it. Okay, it's maybe some like common example. If you want to come to play soccer, if you want to play soccer, football, soccer in US manner, if you want to play football, you need to ready your uniform, your shoes, your socks, and so on. And you take this with you and go to pitch and play football. This is your preparation. For sure, if you want to play good in official matches, you make trainings. It's almost similar for testing. If you want to make better testing with new tools, different tools, you do preparation, you do trainings, you do practice and stuff like this. And let's go to, for example, for the QA, it's interesting one. The same, new story is created in Jira. Everything looks pretty and description is clear and complete. The task is moved to ready for testing column. And if we use unexpected behaviors, we start testing. We just do what is written, and it's good if it's already somewhere deployed. Sometimes you need to deploy it by yourself. Sometimes you need to, I don't know, but you start testing. And this testing is pretty chaotic one. You do some steps, like missteps, and do some I don't know, some actions again and again without any clear goal. And I don't like this kind of terminology like monkey tester. But when we are doing testing without preparation, we are doing some kind of monkey testing. We just do testing without any goals, without understanding what we want to achieve. And sometimes we spend a lot of time to research what kind of tools could help me to test this. Sometimes we need, for example, prepare user personas to make better testing. Do we need to test some, I don't know, do we need to test UI, UX, user experience? I don't know, maybe we need, but in this case, your make time to market higher, because you start make new discoveries on unknown things, and you spend more and more and more and more time, and maybe in one time the project manager or whatever can come and ask you how much time you need to finish your testing. May you complete right now, and you tell, oh no, I didn't test everything yet, and I need more time because here is a lot of I don't understand some issue, I don't understand how it works, and you tell me one thing, developer tell another thing, and this is miscommunication in general, and user wants third thing. That's it. And actually, it's pretty all the examples and some of good and bad behaviors that could be made by developers, project manager, and QAs. There are much more for sure, but there are some important ones from my point of view. And here I want to share you some, I don't know, it's website where you can find a lot of tools, a lot of different approaches for better thinking. Untools SO is good site with a lot of like tools for system thinking, decision making, and problem solving. You will find some tools that, like, if you have a problem, you go to this site, you may choose one of these. If, for example, you have a problem you want to solve, you go to this website and choose one of the approaches you want to use and just make this and just solve your problem. Like, it's not about solving problem, but finding the ways to solve your problem. And then when you do your thing after the thinking actions, and when you resolve your issue, maybe it could be a good one. And there are a lot of these different tools, a lot. And you don't need to use all of them in one case. In one case, you may use one, in another, use another one. And the more you explore, the more tools you're using, the more you understand what is better tool for some particular issues. The tools, there is a lot of tools that you may heard about, the Eisenhower matrix, for example, this common thing that you may use there. But just explore its call to action from my talk for today. And summarize this, I want to make it's kind of new definition of think first approach. So it's a proactive risk mitigation approach that emphasizes thorough planning, analysis, and encourages continuous improvement. This approach aims to prevent issues from arising rather than fix them then after they occur. So it's more about be proactive. From my side, actually, that's it. I want to thank you here and I think we can have some Q&A session.
Thank you, Artem. Thank you very much. I really like your slide deck. Really nice looking characters. So I encourage everyone to put the questions in the chat or ask just by unmuting. I'll start from the questions we have in Zoom. Ali is asking, how is pre-mortem different from risk analysis? What's the difference?
Pre-mortem is more kind of, in general, it's about the same. To find some, to describe some issues that may arise, but pre-mortem have some ceremonies and have some description, risk analysis. In risk analysis, maybe here is good question. I think maybe pre-mortem is some kind of tools in risk analysis, like risk analysis in general, and then pre-mortem is one of them. And for example, in risk analysis, it's you can make some risk metrics. It's also important. Sometimes you analyze like disaster events may occur, but maybe you're right, and pre-mortem is kind of branch of risk analysis.
Yeah, I agree with you. It looks like it's just general. If we are talking about risk analysis, we are talking in general, and then we have some tools to tackle it. The next question from Yuri: what are the limitations and disadvantages of the think first approach? Because when you present it, it looks like it's a silver bullet where like just use it and you're happy. What are the drawbacks?
It's good questions. Actually, I think that to think first, it's better than not to think at all. Sometimes we don't need to think. For example, if we have some urgent issues, but if you have time to think a little bit, it's better to think a little bit. I mean, everywhere in our life, not only in software development, we need to think first about do something. And it's sometimes you better spend 1 hour for analysis than spend 10 hours for reworking or redo the feature. And I think it looks really like silver bullet, but you know, maybe the one point here, we are all lazy, and thinking, it's really, you know, it's an action that
consumes a lot of energy.
Yes, it consumes a lot of energy, and we don't want to lose this energy. So sometimes we don't want to think because we are like this. And this is
I have a follow-up question. For example, you mentioned that it's enough to spend 1 hour before making some decision. So from your experience, how much time you actually need to think, and then you have to stop thinking and start working? Because I can imagine a person will just put a task in Jira. Okay, today I will think about how to test this nice feature, and tomorrow I'll start it. Something like that.
I don't have like a rule about when to stop thinking, but it's a really good question. That there are some kind of rules in R&D, for example. When you do some kind of time limitation for you to do something, then you summarize everything, and then you continue to follow your path, or you are going with another path. So in this case, I would expect that the person, like, if we told me, like, when I ask, for example, even with bad behavior, I ask for estimation, because I do all of this thing as project manager or product manager. I create a good task and ask for developer to estimate the issue. Maybe the developer, I will ask him to make this, and for tomorrow I will ask if he finished or not. And I mean, for me, for example, I expect that usually people write the comments in task like once in 4 hours, for example, or in 2 hours.
Basically, you need some milestones inside task to have a picture that a person is working on.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Kate is asking, what are your thoughts on approach fail fast, learn fast?
Good approach in general, but in this case, if you have time to learn from your mistakes, and if you have time for redo all the work, it's also a good approach. Like, you've actually all startups working like this. So they do some right away coding, they put everything on production, they make hypotheses, put the hypothesis on production, they receive a feedback from the customers, redo their work, and so on and so on. In startup, it works pretty fine, but for example, in enterprises, it doesn't work like this. If you do like this, you may impact a lot of customers. For example, if you are doing some banking, if you don't think about the customers, and if you don't think about some other people in your departments and so on, it may lead to a lot of issues and failures. For example, also, I really like this approach, fail fast, learn fast. And, if you're doing like this, for example, you're working with different teams, and your team is fail fast, learn fast team, but another team doing it on another way, and you're communicated with each other, and you're doing common thing, and your fails impact their work, and this lead to like not good communication and some issues. So here's some of disadvantages of this approach, but for sure it works fine in startups when you want to launch your product faster, you want to receive a feedback from your customer, and here's you learn. But you also need to think if you impact someone.
Okay, thank you. So next question from Sergey, shift left. So I understand the question is, if you're talking about think first approach, isn't it just shift left approach when you ask questions, trying to test earlier to understand the requirements? What's the difference?
It's not just shift left when we focus on early stages, but we focus also and later stages. We focus on also how to make testing, for example, but testing is not about the shift left. Also, we may think about our customers, and customers is more shift right approach, right? And I like the message from the Yuri that we can say that think first approach is really applicable for every stage of software, not only test lifecycle, but also in software development lifecycle. It not only shift left, but it's widely. And this is in QA, it may be tell that shift left, but in development, we think about how we can develop this in particular point, like here right now. How can I do this? I don't think about like shifting this here.
Actually, you answered, I believe, one more question, because Yuri asked about think first approach. Is it applicable for every stage of STLC? So we covered that one as well.
Yep.
I prepared for myself some questions. For example, when you talked about PM, you provided an example with PM asking about adding small feature. So is there a concept of small features? Something small can lead to a huge snowball, you know, because you are thinking about a button, but this button can touch something that will produce a huge impact. So maybe we as a developers, QAs, just as an industry should just forget about small changes. There is no small changes. What do you think?
If you saw, I mentioned small feature like in quotes, because we never know if it's really small. And when the product manager or developer and other person start asking questions, what is this feature about? Why we need this? What impact of it? What value of this feature? And then we do a research how this impact may work and so on. We understand how big this feature. Yeah. So you're totally right. So here is not small features. And I know a lot of wrong, it's from my point of view, wrong behavior, that we spend a lot of waste for estimating this small feature and development this small feature. And after some times, this feature became like obsolete. We don't need them anymore. For example, I know that almost all of people here, they have backlogs on their projects. And I want you to think about, do you really need this backlog? This is first question. The second question, how often this backlog changes and how much time you spend to prioritize this backlog? And how many actually needed features or tasks or stories really actual in your backlog? Here, just think about it. This is no answer on this question right now. Just go to your project and watch your backlog. I want also, I don't know, we may make some kind of advertisement of other good talks of 7 years old.
Please do.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe you know, here is Alan Holub, and he made a talk about Agile and Scrum and estimation. And this just 37 minutes of this talk. It's really useful, really interesting. I share in the chat. And
cool,
this talk,
thank you.
Yeah, this is a talk about no estimates, like how you can work without estimates, and why estimates are really waste of the time. So when you do refinement, why I tell that all the Scrum ceremonies, Scrum meetings, it's mostly waste of the time. because you spend time on refinement, and sometimes this feature never implemented, but you spent already time, and this is not small time, it's big time of the whole team.
Yeah, I agree, totally agree with you. If you have time, because I know it's your wedding anniversary, and thank you very much for coming. So if you have time, I can ask you 2 more questions. If no, we can wrap up.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more questions. Let's go.
Okay, first question: how to dig unknown unknowns faster and more effective?
There's no silver bullet, but when you learn system, you understand some dependencies and some issues. So I would suggest to learn how system works. It's crucial part for QA. I know a lot of QA who doesn't know how their front end works and how it communicates with backend. I saw this, and to make better testing and to find these unknown issues, the better you understand your product, the better you understand the business, the better you understand technology, you find better ways and find faster these unknowns. Maybe you always know that in a lot of projects, there is one person, almost one person for sure, who knows a lot of about your system, and you always ask this person questions. In most of the projects, you have this person, and when you ask him to do something or implement something, for sure he knows, because he knows a lot about your system, he knows how to implement, and he knows how to implement it faster, better, and he knows why some solutions will not work. Thank you, guys. Okay, thank you. And last one, what's your favorite tool from untools.co, or any approach that you daily apply for your think first mantra? Actually, here is no favorite for me. I not use so much, but I use a couple of them. Let me remind. Maybe you can recommend for our audience today just to start with, because there are plenty of them. So what do you think is most valuable to touch? Yeah, to touch Eisenhower matrix. So it's totally my recommended tools. And let me, sorry, I don't remember the properly name of the tool that I used. Yeah. Maybe you will just give a link later, and I'll attach it. This is the good one. The good one I used for solve some really hard problems. It's productive thinking model. I write down. This is really a model that help you to make a lot of questions before, and then you can answer. When you start answering these questions, you understand about your problem and understand about how you can solve these problems. Yep. This is my. Thank you. And Dmitry put a link inside the chat, so you may just click and see what it is. Okay. I'm really grateful for your talk, for your time. Say sorry to your wife, because I feel that I just grab you from the. Thank you so much for the invitation. Maybe see you again, guys. Thank you.